folks, and welcome to the Daily Ratings Podcast. It's a show where each week we'll be sitting down with Vincent Daly to get his thoughts on the latest movies he's been watching, both older films and new releases. And don't worry, there's no spoilers. Vince will give a brief review of the movie, share some thoughts, and of course, then rate the film. The daily ratings are always fair, honest, and most importantly, they're consistent. On today's show, Vince will be rating and reviewing. We have a Minecraft movie directed by Jared Hess. We then have The Amateur, directed by James Hawes. And then finally, we have Warfare, co-directed by Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza. So let's hear what Vincent Daly has to say about these films, folks. We'll get him in the room. Stay tuned and enjoy the show. Daly, how are we doing over there, buddy?
Thomas Recker, how's it going?
It's going okay on this side of the table. How was your 3 movies this week?
3 movies, really all over the map, honestly. It was catch up with Minecraft.
Yeah.
The Amateur, which I think leading up to this, you can probably guess my thoughts on, and Warfare, which was a big surprise. Warfare was I kind of just didn't know what I was walking into.
You weren't, yeah. It wasn't really on. It was on my radar.
Yeah,
it was not on your radar.
Yeah, and still kind of up in the air of just like how much is Garland a part of this? How much is that co-directing? But yeah, it was a hell of a movie. I mean, that is a packed hour 35, and it was really something else. Really something else.
Any opening notes? Any trailer talks? Anything to start out with?
Oh, it sounds like you maybe have some trailer talk.
No, I've got nothing.
Oh, okay.
Well, if I wanted to come up with something, I would say that the Mission Impossible shows way too much.
Sure.
Very annoying.
You preferred the sizzle reel, which was kind of interesting.
I just think I should talk to Tom about stop giving everything away. We all know we're expecting big things, but when you show us the big things, how shocked can people be when the movie comes out for you to be like, hey, you should check this out.
Yeah.
We're all expecting it now. Anyway,
true.
That's my only thing. I just don't want to see the movie when I sit down. You know,
I'm with you.
I just don't want to. When I see the trailer, I felt like I've seen the movie now.
Yeah. I think actually the only thing that stands out to me as a good trailer that doesn't have that, give away everything quality. Mm-hmm. The Talk to Me director duo, I think it's the Filippo brothers. I always forget.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. The
next one is called Bring Her Back. Phenomenal trailer. Looks very scary.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one.
And also just like so scary, it just doesn't give anything away. It's just kind of like you're seeing just like so much at such a quick rate. But yeah, I would say I'm actually pretty excited for that one.
And you Talk to Me too.
Yeah, Talk to Me was a real surprise.
Yeah, they surprised you.
Yeah.
So we are going to start with a Minecraft movie because technically that's 2 weeks old now. And this is directed by Jared Hess, who I don't think was in our database yet.
Maybe Napoleon Dynamite, but that's definitely one that needs some rewatch.
It's James Hawes, the next director who wasn't in our.
Oh, yeah.
Who we haven't seen before. That's right. Jared Hess did Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, Nacho Libre. I mean, some weird kind of cult comedies.
And here he is 20 years later to do a Minecraft movie.
yeah, the studio dusted him off.
I'm going to let you set this up and talk about your theater experience because this movie is doing way better than Warner Brothers ever expected to.
Right. This single-handedly is making up for Legendary's loss with Borderlands, back to last year.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh,
As far as video game properties.
That director just came out and blamed it on COVID, I think, for that movie being bad.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so set up a Minecraft movie. Obviously, Minecraft is a video game, one of the most successful video games of all time.
Oh, for sure.
I was a little confused when they first announced it years ago because it's like, what are we doing here? How are you going to make Minecraft into a movie? But they did it.
Yes, they did.
And they got Jack Black to beat Jack Black. I feel like Jack Black has played the same character for the past, 15, 20 years now.
Yeah, for sure.
And Jason Momoa's in this. So
Jason Momoa.
Get into it, because we're only 2 weeks in. It still had a great weekend. So what was your theater experience? And explain what's been going on with that.
Yeah.
And then just get into the movie then.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me just ask. I mean, you only saw Warfare this week, right?
Correct.
Okay,
yes.
I didn't know if you were going to surprise me.
I'm not going to do the loop-de-loo on you. You wish I watched
Yeah,
it.
you know. I'm actually sad. Out of all the kids' movies we see together, just to knock it out for the podcast, I was really excited to watch this one with you. But yeah, if there was ever a week to give a movie some breathing room, boy oh boy, it was for this one. Now the biggest box office opening for a video game movie 2 weekends in a row. Minecraft movie can credit its success on two fronts. On that first side of it, much like the Super Mario Brothers movie from a few years back, Minecraft is a name as big as video games itself. Not only is it a generational landmark, creating a genre of crafting survival games, but most importantly, it is a game for everyone. This kind of mass market appeal covers huge ground, easily bringing in a kid-parent demographic to see it, but potentially anyone that has played the game in its last 10 years of domination in the market.
How long has it been? I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
The game, how long has it been around?
2011, but really, I would say 2013, it kind of reaches its momentum.
I just thought it was older than that for some reason.
Really?
And did you have a phase for yourself?
No, I mean, listen, some of my buddies had a Minecraft server,
Okay.
but no, I really was never
I had a phase. I had a few month phase.
Yeah. I mean, that is kind of the reputation of Minecraft, that you kind of get in for a 2-month stretch and then you get out, you know? You start everything
That's
over.
not everybody's story. Some people get in there and never leave.
Right, there's an industry to Minecraft in itself. But folks, I mean, here's the elephant in the room. Layered over this success like a cream made of money is the ironic viewing of this movie, driven by the teens and young adults that have grown up with the game in the 2010s. In a lesson of viral marketing you could not pay for if you wanted, the buzz around this film has really focused on the audience participation you experience when you go to see this. Tom, actually, you were one of the first to put it this way, but I heard you put it perfectly. This movie kind of created a Rocky Horror Picture Show style watching culture to it. You know, while some of these audiences are, you know, the bad apples, if you will. They're chasing clout online, including everything from popcorn avalanches to setting off fireworks in the theaters and getting the cops called. I'm happy to say it is mostly just actual kids loving this movie. Mm-hmm. The biggest twist for me was just how heartwarming this experience was going into this, and hearing a packed Friday night theater in perfect unison, like the timing of these kids, it was ridiculous. Saying anything from Flint and Steel to Chicken Jockey, like Jack Black, and it was honestly wonderful. I thought it was very heartwarming.
How do they know when to say it?
I think it's either they know the memes, they've gone to see it already, because I think that proves in the box office, or just the culture has kind of reached that far. The anticipation of this movie was to kind of get shit on before it was released online.
Oh, I didn't. Listen, I didn't think this was going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Anywhere.
Exactly. So, I think there is a layer of, even in their enjoyment of this, there's something there, that there's an ironic viewing, but then there's also a genuine viewing to it. And honestly, I hate having to comment and intellectualize on this as an adult, whether these kids came for that ironic participation or just the genuine joy of, hearing these things on screen coming out of Jack Black's mouth. The result was the same. Minecraft really was made for everyone. A Minecraft movie is the latest video game adaptation to take something with barely any story and put a team of writers in a room to pump out a hit. I think before this release, I really saw it as like when they did like an Angry Birds movie. How are you going to make a whole movie out of like this mobile game?
Very true. That it does. You would think belongs in that family.
Yeah, just very thin.
I didn't think this was definitely going to be a Mario level of famous success.
Yeah. We see one of the fattest introductions of the gameplay loop imaginable, how Jack Black, or Steve, gets trapped in the sandbox environment of Minecraft's overworld after a time jump and back in the real world, we're introduced to a handful of characters. This includes Jason Momoa being a deadbeat arcade gamer. Daniela Brooks is a failing real estate agent. But most importantly, we're following a brother and sister moving out on their own. After finding a cube called the Orb, the group is whisked away to the overworld as well, finding a whole new reality to discover while an evil pig empress tracks their every move. I mean, being completely honest here, Tom, the framework of this story is just, it's nonsense. It's pretty nonsensical. It really does feel like they got to a point in the writing process and they said, okay, we maybe got some framework here. And then they just said, nah, just throw it out. just whatever. It doesn't even matter. You know, I think the biggest flaw by far is how this resembles the old bad way of adapting game stories for movies, where it's burdened with a real-world story that just kind of gets in the way of showing off the game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we've talked about this a couple times. Like, just make it the game. I don't need the Sonic 1 buddy copness of Sonic not running and being in a car. I don't need the video game movie not being the video game.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like in Survivor, where they're always going off on. This is my issue with the newest iterations of Survivor.
Okay, all right.
Okay, now that we're in the 40s, we're in the upper 40s. My problem is that they tried to pull on heartstrings and they tried to bring in side stories of the characters. And oh wow, what a journey they've taken to get here and all that crap.
Yeah.
And all you want to do is watch good gameplay in Survivor.
You want the eliminations, yeah.
Right. The movies try to do this completely.
Yeah. It feels like it needs like a real world emotional center.
Exactly. Right. Pull on your heartstrings.
Make it the game. The real world side of the story is just super unnecessary for that reason. And even with Minecraft technically not having much of a story, I still think this should have kind of dove headfirst into the game world. Another great comparison of a game or a game adaptation doing this is the Warcraft movie from 2016, where it's like there's no... You're jumping right into the lore. You're jumping headfirst into what this world has to offer. And the story is at least confident enough to just say, like, yeah, do you like this or not? Do you like this fantasy or not? I have to admit, though, this real-world plot is the only spot we really see our director's DNA. Everything else was just kind of plug and play. If you enjoyed Jared Hess's other cult comedies like Napoleon Dynamite or Nacho Libre, especially for Jack Black, some of the timing of jokes work in a similar way. Jennifer Coolidge's character is a great example of just something that strangely hits, and it was strangely funny on its own, completely aside of like everything to do with Minecraft.
She's good at that, yeah.
Yeah, and occasionally in that real world, you just get some magic that works in a similar way that Hess has. But Jack Black, man, he is in his own category entirely, though. Don't get me wrong, he has been getting a lot of flack for cashing this check, but he is just 100% himself in this.
He's Jack Black, right?
Yeah.
Jack Black is Kung Fu Panda.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They really learned the most valuable lesson from Sonic movies, where one comedic actor can kind of be the backbone for any low points in the story. Mm-hmm. Jim Carrey has increasingly got more comfortable in that role as Dr. Robotnik, and Jack Black has only hit the ground running in the same way. He's just literally like just Jack Black.
He really is.
It's his like Tenacious D persona in Minecraft, basically.
It's just getting a little heavier with each film he does now.
Yeah, exactly. Everything from his singing, though, his silliness to, his ability to just say something in a funny way, a.k.a. the skadoosh effect, I'll call it.
Very
you know
good.
what I mean? It's just like, he'll just say something in a funny way and it works. That's it. They really just let him run wild in this, and more often than not, he keeps the wheel on this whole thing. He really keeps everything together, I would say, to the point of, like, if you like the Sonic movies, or especially Sonic 3, if you don't like the property at all, there's still enjoyment in this one comedic performance, which you can't really say that often.
It doesn't surprise me that this is on Jack Black's shoulders. Because he's got to support the kids, because we have kids.
Yeah.
And we have Jason Momoa going on.
Which is...
So he gives us some heavy lifting.
Yeah. Literally. Just a swing and a miss almost on everything that comes out of his mouth. But I'm really not too hard on it, because Jack Black, I feel like, does do... Like,
He's doing something.
yeah, it's not like a perfect job, but it's like 100% Jack Black, just in the sense that like Jim Carrey almost was just like, did he just write parts of Sonic 3? Like, it's just, it seems like they just let it run wild, which I think is one nugget of enjoyment here. Overall, I think the goal in adapting Minecraft as a game is something I'm a bit more split on. A fair amount of this stuff here feels like just unsuccessful story expansions for something that is ultimately a sandbox or framework for player creativity. You know, I mean, Minecraft, you make the story. It's digital Legos. You know, I mean, that's really the best way to kind of put it. I think it would just do wonders if our actors didn't look horrible on, you know, the green screen that they are onto Minecraft. Like, it really looks bad.
I was really hoping they would make it look interesting and vibrant and kind of cool.
Yeah.
Even just looking at the shots, it's just like,
just onto this.
I'm talking about seeing a green screen and not caring.
Yes, exactly.
You know, it's like they didn't care.
They didn't care at all. They didn't care at all. And I mean, I guess I was trying to brainstorm this as like, what would I prefer? Would I prefer them looking like Minecraft characters? Do they get kind of like pixelated?
No.
Would it be better if they didn't go for this very glossy look to Minecraft and went with the original like kind of pixel art style? I don't know.
No, that wouldn't go.
Yeah. Either way, their incorporation, you know, onto the backdrop of this looks real sloppy sometimes. But I would say the game to movie expectations are also a lot steeper. This tries to tackle so much more than just the gameplay loop of Minecraft. Arguably, it's trying to adapt the culture around Minecraft servers, around the game itself, around the community. And for that reason, I'd really call it a fan film, not as an insult, but because of the commitment the movie has to inside jokes and references that the true players are going to get. And for that reason, I really put it very close in comparison to how the Five Nights at Freddy's movie turned out. We're going to go ahead and give a Minecraft movie, I don't know what the next one's going to be called, a 54.
A 54%? Okay. You know what? I guess I could have been way, way, way worse.
Yeah.
This could have easily been in the 30s.
Absolutely.
I feel like the crowd was doing a decent amount. And it maybe just put in perspective, oh, this is what this movie is.
Right.
Right? I mean, yeah.
Who knows if also the meme is going to live on of this, like, audience participation. Like, truly, will it be a Rocky Horror Picture Show that, like, 30 years down the road?
It won't be. It just won't be. It won't be.
The meme will die.
It'll die with this film, yeah.
Yeah.
I do see it happening more with video game movies for sure.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Okay, 54%. I don't know. It's like, don't go see it unless you really know the game.
Yeah, I think that 54 communicates that this was blandly acceptable, some things unacceptable, but also Jack Black just kind of kept the wheels on the whole thing.
Yep, Jack Black being Jack Black.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. Well, with that, let's jump on to The Amateur. This is directed by James Hawes, who we just haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And starring Rami Malek. It has Lawrence Fishburne in it. I think this is Rami Malek's biggest role since he did No Time to Die 4 years ago in a film.
Probably.
So, I don't know. It made $15 million this weekend. And you were looking super not forward to it.
Yeah, I really wasn't.
So, what even is The Amateur? It's technically a remake because it was made in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
But get into it. Tell us the story and how'd you like it?
I only recently found out that this was a remake of a 1981 movie by the same name. That itself is also based off a book. And originally, before seeing this, I thought, you know, if you're going to dust off kind of an old spy story like this, you might as well give it a modern edge. I was really thinking of Black Bag the entire time
I
watching this. And while it's only the second feature film from our director, it is far from being his only work. James Hawes has directed extensively in the TV space, specifically on a lot of these cutting-edge productions, such as Black Mirror, Raised by Wolves, The Alienist, and our recently referenced Snowpiercer TV show. So I thought if anyone could do it, kind of a punch up this for a modern appeal, I thought he could have done it.
He directed Slow Horses, too. I don't know if you said that.
No.
That's the one that's, like, really well respected.
Really?
Slow Horses.
I've never heard of that.
It's the one on Apple with, what's his face, Gary Oldman. Everybody talked about how good Slow Horses is.
Oh, really?
And apparently it's like top-notch TV.
Interesting.
It always gets like, I don't know, everyone talks about Severance or people talk about,
Silo, I hear a lot of.
Silo, kind of. I mean, like the big movies, like a Severance,
Yep.
like The Bear, like Secession.
Okay.
Slow Horses is always in that pool.
Interesting.
Anyway, he directed 6 episodes of it.
Yeah, absolutely. He bounces around a lot, but that's not really a bad mark. I see him being flexible, and flexible for this story being adapted. He's not like writing it himself.
Right.
Now, folks, I can softball this for you, or I can give it to you straight.
Give it to us straight.
This is the least memorable movie by far this week, and might be a real contender for the Houdini Award at the next Tom Dailies. The trailer looked uninspired, and what do you know? It was an uninspired movie. The Amateur is an espionage revenge thriller that bleeds out its first half, getting our main character up to speed on skills he will use in the second half that has exactly 0 surprises, whether you've been spoiled by the trailer or not. Rami Malek plays a decryption specialist for the CIA with a shocking amount of surveillance tech at his fingertips since he's the one who created most of it. This later will become the biggest crutch for the story, as any problem is solved with the loophole that he made the software, which is just so unrealistic with how much globetrotting goes on in this movie. When his wife is killed by a terrorist incident, this sends him into an uncharacteristic spiral that sees him seeking out the skills to bring justice to the killers. Not satisfied with the steps taken, he blackmails his own organization to force them to train him as an operative, but in doing so, discovers skeletons in the closet of who he thought was on his side. Just wanting a fighting chance, Malik pulls the biggest spy cliche and goes rogue. Really give me a flashback to our Mission Impossible episode. Using both sides of his skills to unravel the mess that he has stepped into. Malik's acting is basically all the edges sanded off his Mr. Robot character. And honestly, it's all the edges sanded off his entire acting career.
I was going to say, talk about a guy who kind of is the same guy.
Yeah. I mean, like, you have spots in his career that shine, like he's a quick addition in Oppenheimer. I liked him in the James Bond movies as the villain.
Yeah, but he's kind of the same guy, though.
Yeah, and also you look at the career trajectory. It's kind of steadily going down. Honestly.
Well, he came out with a splat. I mean, when iRobot came out that first season, he was
Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot,
Yeah,
not iRobot. I mean, he came out of nowhere and everybody loved him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but the problem is with that character, everyone just wanted to hire him then for being this weirdly cool, very collected, and very analytical, strange, like autistic mind kind of.
Yeah.
And that's still what we're getting.
Yeah,
a decade later,
to a T. There's really nothing more than that. And then again, anything that made that character originally interesting, as far as having faults and flaws, have been just sanded down to fit him into generic spy action role. You know, I would say I enjoy him as an actor, but he just brings nothing to the table here for this performance, other than like you said, kind of the typical intellectual introvert angle that he has. The movie's pacing also doesn't give him space to act or give him a chance to kind of show some real emotion or grieving, despite plenty of moments to do so. We get like sporadic segments where we see it actually affecting him, and I just think it would have done wonders if this focused more on making the wife's death feel real to the character instead of ramping into this spy action movie. Nonetheless, the script given to him features just a lot of techno-babble on screen, from generic hacking screens to futuristic fantasy software, letting the plot move along whenever and however it needs to be. Down to, the very last scene is the exact same way. You know, so much of this writing feels like it is obsessed with being clever or building up kind of gotcha moments, but it suffers because then it's barely a mystery or a thriller. It's just kind of prescribed, you know?
Right.
The story was just spy movie prescribed. What I enjoyed a lot more was when the story was kind of setting up its action properly. That didn't kind of feel like a rug pull. For instance, during his training, they find he's just really good at making improvised bombs. And seeing how that was used in action scenes was so much more satisfying than, whatever he's able to magically control because of some device, because he invented
Right, because he was
the
the guy.
software. They're in Russian waters. He invented the software. He's in Prague. He's in all these things. He's in France. He's in Istanbul. He invented the This man shouldn't be working with the CIA. This man should be the richest man alive in private contracting. I mean, unreal. But seriously, acting and writing gripes aside, my God, is this just a boring movie? Like,
Kind of like a TV movie.
Yeah, but absolutely streaming quality for sure.
Yeah.
The ramp to get us anywhere in the story takes over 40 minutes and is just painfully on rails for the whole duration. I think piggybacking off of my hatred of this movie's trailer, characters are always just spouting the most predictable lines imaginable. Like, honestly, this might be good. Have a kind of a second life to be a drinking game. Just seeing if you could say what these characters are going to say without ever seeing the movie. It really is like that predictable. And I hate to say it, but I'm way more willing to sling the AI script insult at stuff like this, just because of how cliche and been there, done that everything feels.
You can see exactly where it's going.
Yeah. And
brings nothing new to the table.
Nothing new to the table, and again, like, just so predictable, especially, villainous lines. I mean, seriously, it is a game. You could probably predict this just like throwing out something that you've heard before in any other action movie. It's really something else. But yeah, just an absolute potato chip of a movie. We're going to go ahead and give The Amateur a 41.
A 41%. Not much to say about it. Lauren Fishburne, cool. Any redeeming qualities? John Bernthal?
I wish Bernthal was in it. They should have combined Fishburne and Bernthal's character into one.
Okay.
Mainly because I don't know. Fishburne is all right.
Fishburne, you really need to use him where... I don't know. What spice would he be?
I don't.
That you gotta watch it. You have to be careful.
Smoked paprika.
There you go.
It's like nice, but
only in certain dishes and just a little bit. And I think John Wick does that perfectly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He is totally the smoked paprika to John Wick.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, before we get on to our last one, we're going to be a quick episode here.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, it really is actually going to be a quick episode.
So just to remind people that Vin and I are going off the value for value model here at the Daily Ratings. So that means that we're not going to take any advertising money and shove a bunch of advertising in your face. We're not going to have a payment tier structure, and we're not going to have a paywall where you need to pay. We need to pay to play, pay to gain access to our content. Everything that Vin and I do is out there for free, technically. But if you're enjoying yourself, if you find yourself listening to the podcast or using the website, we look at that as value in your pocket. So can you send us value back in our pocket? It's the value for value model. So basically, you go to thedailyratings.com and head to the donations tab, and through your monetary support, 1, you send us in what value you're getting, and 2, you become an actual legitimate producer of the Daily Ratings. Just like in Hollywood, when you financially support a project, you're a producer of the project. So that's how we're doing it here. And we do have some set donations there, but there's the big value for value button. So any amount, any monetary value that you want to send in is great, and we appreciate it. Everybody's on their own finances. Everybody's week to week is different from everybody else's, and that's why we're doing it this way. So $5, $50, $500, those numbers mean something different to everybody. And so really, it's whatever the value you're getting. Send it along with a producer note as well. When you produce the Daily Ratings, we want to hear from you. What you have to say, what you're thinking, questions, comments, critiques, ask us anything, say anything, whatever. We want to bring you into the conversation, those producers of the Daily Ratings. So when you send in a donation, our email is tom.vin@thedailyratings.com. You can email us your note there. And on this segment right here, we'll give you the shout out. We'll read your note. And again, we'll bring you into the conversation because that's what being a producer is all about. But anyway, it's thedailyratings.com. Head to the donations tab. And let's keep things going, Vin. So this is Alex Garland, and then Ray Mendoza is doing the movie Warfare. They are co-directors. Ray Mendoza was a Navy SEAL.
Yep.
and he was there on the day that the events in the movie take place.
Yes. Yep.
Which is super cool. And then I think he's been into film for like the past 10 years doing small projects and stuff.
Oh, really? Okay.
He consulted with Alex Garland in Civil War. So he was a part of that.
That's the connection.
Those credits as well. The two of them made this film together. You had said earlier, you don't know how involved he was or not, like Alex Garland. Mm-hmm. The answer is very involved.
Yeah. I mean, the film feels like a Garland film as far as its intensity. But it's also such a first-person recollection of the events.
Yeah.
And that's obviously driven by, the stories he took from his platoon and whatnot, that it does feel, if I had to call heads or tails on the lean, it does feel a little bit more Mendoza, if you will, even though this is the first film I've seen with him.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess we'll probably talk about it more as we talk about the film. But I think it was much more shared. I think Mendoza brought the realness to it.
Okay.
I think Alex Garland just brought the chops to make it into a movie.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I believe they worked as a team when it came to interviewing all the soldiers that were there that day and stuff. Yeah, I think they spent a lot of time together. I think. I listened to one interview with them together at least. So anyway, let's talk about Warfare. Let's get into it and just tell the folks what it's about.
Well, last year's Alex Garland special was one of the most enjoyable episodes for me, covering one of the strongest writer-directors of the 2010s. And while we do get two projects with him this year, both 28 years later, a little bit later on.
Oh, yep, he's writing, yep.
And now this, the real draw to cover this actually comes from who's sharing the chair with him. And that's, of course, as we mentioned, Ray Mendoza, our co-director and co-writer. But really, most importantly, he's the man who lived through the events we see on screen. To capture an unmatched realism, the film is a reenactment of sorts of the events his platoon experienced, created only from their memories of how shit went down. Better yet, the biggest draw for, I think, my recommendation of why I think it's worth checking out this film is that this conflict is playing out over the runtime, attempts to kind of simulate the real time this chaotic story actually took place over.
Yeah.
It's obviously not perfect. There are still editing tricks. There are still some minor jumps in time in how the order of events played out. But for the most part, the hour and 35 we see is trying to simulate the hour and 35 that they went through. And that's exactly how I would really start by summarizing this. Warfare is an Iraq war docudrama where that tight hour and 30 is the tense hell Mendoza's squad lived through. It's got a few main characters that we jump around to. Believe it or not, Mendoza's own character is not really, per se, a main character. No?
Yeah, I think he is. Because he plays like Frogman. He plays the guy who's on the radio a lot.
Yeah, the comm specialist.
I feel like, I don't know. It's tough with this movie because there's not really supposed to be like a main character.
Yes, that's what I mean. I think it's an ensemble.
Yeah.
There are a few real standouts, though, to watch. I would say Will Porter as Eric, the captain in charge, was really good. Mendoza himself is played by, I may mess up this name, Pharaoh Woon Atai, their comm specialist. And for me, the best of the bunch being Joseph Quinn, an officer in the squad. The story itself is contained in a single operation. We see this group of Navy SEALs commandeer a 2-story apartment, getting a moment's rest while they sit in the middle of hostile territory. This attracts heat from the locals scarily fast. Like they are on it next morning, it feels like. And before they know it, a jihad is called to rally the town against our frogmen out of the water. Folks, we've covered a lot of war films on the podcast by this point, but none yet with such a simple focus. Once again, we have this movie being lumped into the genre of war epic without much thought being put into what that means. The smaller scope of this story is shit hitting the fan on a single mission. And a closer war movie that comes to mind would be something like 2001's Black Hawk Down. I feel like that's a much better way to introduce this than a war epic or something like that. It's not the grand movements that we come to associate with that.
Yeah, it's weird that it is kind of being pegged as that because it really is. It's so honed in on this one thing that actually happened, brought to you by the people that were actually there.
Yeah.
It's so specific and about just hey, let's do the best job we can
Sure.
at turning what happened into a movie
Sure.
to show people.
Yeah.
So it's very small. It's a very minute film, but it's also a very big film. I mean, but not epic at all.
Yeah. But I think the misstep in describing it or putting that in that genre is that it also makes it seem like this specific operation has, I don't know, any degree of importance, where I feel like it's more so, this is the cards we're being dealt. Let's deal with this in kind of a war action capacity.
Right.
I think on that note, story-wise and action-wise, if you want an even older reference, I would say this has elements of John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13 for how it contains the action inward. You know, they kind of punch through and they get this position, this two-story apartment, but they're in the middle of the nest. You know, I mean, this is not a desirable spot to be in. So all that action is kind of pointing inward and a lot more lethal for that reason. For warfare, that action has a quiet intensity for a good stretch, but like any good action film, gives us ample time to understand the setting, understand the situations around this block, the apartment itself. We get a lot of satellite radar imaging to kind of give us some understanding there, and baby, I've said it many times now, when you understand the setting, you understand the stakes. You know, that is the key to action. I feel like this strikes that. You can put that on my gravestone, honestly. You know, make a shirt out of that. But part of this intensity, this quiet intensity, it has kind of a slight Dunkirk quality to it, where we're not really seeing the enemy, or the enemy is very seldomly shown.
Oh, definitely.
And I feel like that just does so much to crank up that intensity of the unknown. I mean, it takes any moment that they're just peering out of the blinds and maybe even like some boredom.
Yeah.
And it gives it context. It gives it stakes. It's not just them killing time or anything like that. It's like, oh boy, what are they going to see when they peek out the windows?
I think it was a great way to do that too, because I mean, it's in the eyes of the soldier, which kind of makes sense that you just, especially when things get going, it just kind of blurs. You don't even know if they're hitting anybody. It's really just kind of chaotic.
I would say most bullets don't hit anybody.
Right, so true. There's an important thing with that Dunkirk aspect to it. I think that it's going to start having war films where it's either like that or it's just classic war where you're seeing everybody on both sides. But something about just, it helps create more of a fear.
Yep.
Not seeing where it's going, you're not knowing what the other guys are doing, and just having kind of like the rain come in from them. I don't know. I think it's a great, not trick, but it really works for this film.
Yeah, I think it's just, it's key to why this was just such a great action premise. And it's in how our men, again, might have punched out a moment's rest in this town, but quickly that becomes a self-inflicted trap. And just kind of creating a hell of their own, being surrounded by something. It was just very interesting. I just think purely on, an action level, that's such a satisfying premise of just like, let's get to know this one little square block really well. Yeah. And now see how that becomes their own kind of prison. But Tom, I know you wanted to talk about this for sound-wise.
Well, did I make the comment to you saying that there's at one point in the movie, it's one of the loudest?
Yes.
It is some of the loudest a movie has ever been in a theater for me.
A few that stood out to me. A few moments that could be. I don't know if you want to say specifically.
No, I mean, no. There's just one with the radio kind of buzzing.
Oh, yeah.
That got really loud. And I thought the sound of the firearms, the guns, and the shooting was just, I mean, it's right up there with Heat when they're shooting in the LA streets.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Absolutely.
Those gunshots punched, they were loud. I don't know. The sound mixing in the film was like top notch. It's a really good sounding and loud film.
Absolutely.
Which it ought to be.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that part thoroughly,
Yeah. And I believe it or not, I think that sound plays a very important role to the story as well. The design of keeping moments hush quiet versus explosively loud is something to check out in a theater specifically.
This movie should definitely be watched in a theater.
Yeah, I think watching this in a theater, it was going to give you the highs and the lows of what this is meant to be. Shell-shocked moments are just so much more than just like your typical muted hum. Oftentimes when our characters experience dissociation, there are just select pieces in the audio mix that pierce through. You get radio chatter, shots popping off, and most of all, screaming. When the camera focuses on specific characters, certain blends of this audio mix is peering through to show what's affecting them out of other things. And I thought it was just really, really effective. On a psychological level, I think this perfectly communicated the hell these soldiers were going through without every actor, and a lot of actors in this, giving an overtop performance. This wasn't, I don't know, this wasn't like meant to be a big soapbox for each one of them to be acting in.
For sure.
On a visceral level, I'm 100% with you. I loved how these moments warped the sound of gunfire and further explosions. There's one where the sound of the biggest gun in the whole squad is, I don't know, it's oddly muted. It sounds like a laser gun at times. And it's just like, this is so cool. It's not just your typical, like, I don't know, you hear a flashbang go off. It's the tinnitus sound.
Yes. Yeah.
It's so much more than that. There's so
it
much
really
more.
Is.
And, I won't spoil it, but there is nothing like what is called the show of force in this movie, from something flying overhead. Really, really some great moments there. And again, only moments you're going to get in a theater. I feel like...
Yeah, I mean, they really did a good job.
Yeah.
I saw this at a movie tavern, and I was impressed with the sound. So that
right?
says
definitely
something.
said something. I just feel like watching this at home, you're just not going to get the huge range.
No, you're not.
How quiet this can be, and how really
it's going to be
almost
good.
Jump scare loud.
Yeah, it's going to be good, but not as good as sitting there and just being engulfed by it in the theater.
Absolutely.
I really like so I want to touch on just how this all went down. It's not based on a book. It's not based on whatever. They stated in the beginning that this is based on the memories of the men who were there that day.
Yeah.
And I like that because listening to the interview with Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza, they said they approached it in a forensic-like state where everybody got interviewed, and at times where things didn't match up.
Yeah.
And then they would almost have like a tiebreaker if somebody else remembered it, and if
Wow.
it matched it. So everything is really as good as it possibly can be. And it's also a huge reason why there's not really a main character.
Yeah.
And I love that the camera is just kind of gliding through this place, and we're going from person to person, and this person has a moment, and this person, and you can tell that it's stitching together these many different stories of that day. That's what the camera's doing, and that's what that's what the writing was, and that's what the story was that day.
Yeah.
Of how those guys tell their story. So something about that I really liked. I think it made it feel different for such a small hour-and-a-half film. I liked not having a main guy like you who came in and was star power. There were stars in this, and they did have a certain feeling to them.
Yep.
But it was a thing of like no one's trying to stand on their soapbox now and get the Oscar.
Yeah.
This is like a team effort to make this film as authentic as possible.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of moments individually for these characters that non-acting is the acting. I think Will Porter's actually a great example of that, is that kind of halfway through, his dissociation of the events is just kind of shutting down emotionally, not necessarily being non-functioning,
right?
Because he's the captain of the squad, but just kind of shutting down his empathy to the situation, which was interesting. And again, that's how kind of plays in the actual audio mix as the camera is just on these characters. What is piercing through, I feel like, tells the story as well.
Right,
like,
exactly.
What's actually getting through to their psyche.
Right, it's like, let's jump to this person, what they're hearing, this person, what they're hearing, and it's good. I like the way it kind of glides through this compound a little bit.
Yeah,
very interesting. And it makes it, like I said, it just makes it more, it makes it feel more special.
Yeah.
Because nothing about this is cookie cutter.
No, not at all. And to your point about the authenticity, I mean, I actually really appreciated the end credits showing Garland and Mendoza being on site and bringing, his other, squad mates onto the site and talking with them. There definitely does seem like this was inspired in that way.
Yeah.
So... But I think both of our directors really did a great job with this. And the only reason maybe I'm a bit short on notes is for just how compact the story is. I could not write a lot about this because there's really not much to it.
You kind of have to see it.
Yeah, it really
comes
is a
through
see.
You're experiencing it, really.
Yeah. And again, that really, I think that speaks to this being a very tight action film for that reason as well, despite, the ramifications of this, the post-event reality of these soldiers. All of that could have been explored in the film. None of it really is.
No, I love that.
Yeah. Absolutely. While I'm unsure what project Mendoza will do next, the realism he brings from his squad mate's perspective is really a sobering splash of cold water. And for Alex Garland, man, once again, he is able to bring an intensity that I simply don't see other stories around modern conflict having. This might be secondary praise to his work, but just like I said with Civil War when we covered that last year, there was just something so tense to his gunfight scenes. This man just knows how to make them. I don't want to hear any arguments anymore. I'm done with it. Garland, he just gets the green light. But where Warfare, I think, could have stumbled in its tone or possibly this kind of real-time gimmick.
Yeah.
Its intensity stands out to me as the reason you see it, the reason you watch it in theaters, and hopefully a springboard for more authentically crafted action. We're going to go ahead and give Warfare a 77.
Okay, a 77%.
Highest of the year so far.
Oh, wow. Is it? Yeah, it is for new films.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by that. I was looking forward to this one. I'm not going to give it 2 shoes.
Okay.
Because I had an absolute shit theater experience.
Oh, that's right.
Very disruptive couple in the front. I thought they were kids at first. Not kids. They were middle-aged folks. My past 3 biggest issues in the theaters have been with middle-aged couples not realizing that they're not in their living room and that they're in a theater.
And you think they would have some degree of self-awareness?
They were in. I mean, they had the blanket and everything like that. They were totally reclined back, and I swear she was rolled over with she was in bed with him. Talking it up. I mean, we had in the beginning, you saw the 824, the movie got started, they still didn't shut up, and somebody went, shh, in the back, another guy went, hey, shut up, come on. And nothing. The only silence we got is when she went and got herself another beer, and because movie tavern, and when they went to the bathroom, and then we got just some sweet silence. Otherwise, I still really like this movie. The true hatred I have for this couple for ruining my first experience because I can't get that back.
That first shocking experience.
I heard enough about the film. I was ready to go sit on my edge of the seat for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And instead, I enjoyed myself, but had one eye looking at this couple thinking just okay, what am I going to say? Is this going to ruin my night? Is this going to ruin the other people?
Right.
The other people around them aren't saying anything. Now they're going to be uncomfortable. It was heavily ruined. By that awful couple. They should be in jail. Terrible people.
Wow. So Tommy Two Shoes rating
Truly
pending.
terrible people. I mean, just the person you have to be to have such little social awareness that you create that, or not.
This is a quiet movie,
or
at
to
times.
Understand, And the thing is, then it gets really loud.
Oh, right.
So when the loudness comes down, they're talking really loud because they needed to talk over the loudness. Really tough scenario there, and I think I'm gonna swear off Movie Tavern Friday and Saturday nights because they were probably loaded. They were probably loaded, and egg on my face. Really,
I guess
at the end of it all, I really like this film. I really liked Warfare more than Civil War.
Yeah,
you're close. I mean, Civil War you gave an 83.
Yes.
And this gets a 77.
I mean, all of Garland's films are in this range of I really love
true. You do
all
love
of his films.
As a Civil War, I just had some problems with it. I had some logic problems with it. I didn't think it was as smart as everybody thought it was.
Okay.
I didn't find him clever. I found it more eye-rolly. And I was expecting more from him. Even the fight scene stuff, it was fine, but something about it just felt so empty. It was a basket with holes in it that couldn't carry water for whatever reason. This is the exact opposite. And this, again, I love the fact that you have a guy that was really there, knows how it's done, knows what happened, and is a true soldier, and you have the director who has the chops to turn it into a great film with great filmmaking, great sound design, everything, cinematography, everything that goes into that.
Yeah.
I love that there was not really any music at all. In fact, I don't think I put a music credit on it because I couldn't find one.
Yeah, it's
which is
one
fantastic.
song in the beginning, that's it. Yeah.
So this is the most I've really appreciated Alex Garland, and I'm excited to see he's not afraid to take a step back and share limelight, clearly, because he's co-directing, and he's just writing, going back to his writing days
Absolutely.
For the new film, what's it called,
28 years.
28 years later, right. So I really appreciate the guy. This one, though, is my Alex Garland film all the way.
Interesting.
Highly recommend seeing it in a theater for sure.
Just not a disrupted.
Right. Peek around the corner. Maybe maybe
see a blanket. You run.
Wait for next showing. Go hide out in the bathroom.
That blanket is the improvised explosive device of the film.
It's terrible. Okay, all right. So that's Warfare. You give it a 77%. Vin, with this week, it's a short week. Any other notes? Anything for next week? Roll credits? What do you want?
Well, next week, really the only thing we have locked in is Sinners from Ryan Coogler. And
Telling you, it's getting the review embargo.
Yeah.
Got lifted from that, and like it's almost it's getting so many positive reviews.
That's great. That's great.
It's some
I'm
high
excited
numbers.
for it. I've specifically what's been pushed to me around the film is just how much it's being pushed on IMAX and the specific styles of filming that's doing. But yeah, there's a lot more up in the air. I would say next week is the same thing. It's really just seeing what we're going to be able to actually get in our local area. So I think we'll come up with something to pair with Sinners, maybe Coogler's first work, Fruitvale Station, which I hear a lot of good things about. And, you and I were talking before the podcast, Tom, about maybe striking off those extras from the birthday list.
Yeah, doing some older films.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Check into the news show on Tuesday morning if you want to hear the definitive list of what we're covering for next Thursday. Otherwise, Vin, thank you so much for watching these, rating these, stopping by here tonight. Folks at home, we'll run it down one more time. So we have The Amateur with a 41%, a Minecraft Movie with a 54%, and Warfare with a 77%. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in every week. And as always, we'll see you right here next week on the Daily Ratings Podcast. And hey, if you enjoyed the podcast, if you would, give us a good rating or get the word out and tell a friend about us. And just a reminder that the Daily Ratings is completely producer supported. We want to stay away from advertising, and we don't want to have any paywalls or tier structures or subscriptions. It's all just value for value. So, are you finding value in what we're doing here at the Daily Ratings? Then become a producer and donate whatever amount of value that is. Just go to the donations tab on thedailyratings.com. And while you're there, be sure to check out the massive amount of films that Vince has rated. So thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Daily Ratings Podcast.